Hello, how are you? Hope everyone's having a good day. I wanted to hop on and talk about something that I haven't talked about on this channel yet, on this account. And that is something that I did a couple months ago, which is I wrote my first book, Out of Her Mind, a collection of short works to raise mental health awareness. And I published it under a pseudonym, Darcy Llewellyn. If you don't know, I've suffered from anxiety and depression and a couple of other mental illnesses for most of my life. I actually don't know how long. I was diagnosed December of 2013 with depression and anxiety, and I had hit a really low point where I was arguing. I was on a mission. I had a name tag, and it was just a really interesting situation where I had made the decision to give up a year and a half of my life to not date anyone, to not see my family like physically, and to put my education on hold so that I could serve Heavenly Father or God and Jesus Christ, so I could go and teach people about Jesus. And during that time is when I felt the most selfish. When I felt not necessarily that I was a terrible person, but I knew that I was not in a good headspace, where I was just really rude to everyone and I didn't know what to expect with life. I didn't have any expectations. And there were just a lot of things going on that I couldn't control. And I learned a lot about myself in that time. But the absolute best present that I've ever given myself or received was my first session of therapy. And I know that's a taboo subject to talk about therapy, but I feel like nowadays more people are understanding how important your mental health is. Physical health is important. Mental health is just as important. If you're not taking care of your body, it's going to have struggles. If you're not taking care of your mind and the thoughts that you're having, everything else in your life is going to struggle. And I could definitely give a whole TED Talk about this, but I promise you I will not do that. I just wanted to come on here and share with you guys that I never wanted to write this book. Never did I ever want to have to relive things that I have gone through and put those thoughts and feelings into words and to put them onto a page that a stranger would read. That is nothing that I ever wanted to do. I was finally in a good place. Here it is, 2020. I wrote this last year. 2013 was my first therapy appointment. That's when I started my journey back to a good place. 6 years had passed. I was finally in a good spot. I thought I'd gone through a whole bunch of different thoughts and feelings and emotions, broken down the bad things. And then fall semester last year, all hell broke loose. It's a terrible experience with roommates, with school, with some medical things. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong. You know how 2020 is feeling right now? With COVID-19, with those wasps or hornets, the death hornets or whatever, and earthquakes and all these things. I'm not saying that to make light of the situation. I know everything's terrible right now. But fall of 2019, that was my personal worst, where everything was falling apart. I literally cried myself to sleep daily, nightly, whatever. There was situations with the roommates. Cops were involved. I almost had to go to the emergency room at least twice. I was on antibiotics for how long was it? 2, 3 months? I had to switch apartments. Right as the semester was starting up till midterms, everything was insane. And then one night I actually fell asleep at a decent time, and I didn't cry myself to sleep that night. And I had said a prayer right before I went to bed. I was like, Heavenly Father, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what your plan is, but as long as you're gonna like hold my hand through it, I get it. We can do this, we can do it together. And then I tried to go to sleep, and a little while later, you know, the little voice in the back of your head is like, okay, we can do this together, but I need you to do something else too. I need you to work on a book. I need you to put all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions and insecurities and struggles and things that have helped you to feel better, things that have worked. I need you to put them into a book, because other people need to hear your story. Other people need to know that they're not alone. Other people need to know that going through scary things, it happens. There can be a bright side, and you'll go through storms again and again and again. Hopefully it won't be like 20 times, especially not 20 times in a row. But you need to write this book for other people and to help you process these things that have recently happened. So this happened, and I woke up and I was like, I don't want to. No. I don't want other people to read this, to see how far I got, you know, like what my breaking points were. And so I spent a couple of months writing this book, and I know it's cliche, but literal blood, sweat, and tears from the past 26, 27 years of my life. And I got that down to like, this isn't a big book, this is like 40 pages, you know? And most of these things I've gone through, some of these things, certain mental illnesses, I haven't personally gone through, but I talked with people who have, to make sure I was portraying an accurate description of them. And I created this, and I don't know, it's insane to me to see this in print still. What do I want to do with this video? I don't know. This is probably going to end up on Instagram TV or something. Let me just read you my final note from this book. I guess basically what I'm trying to say with this video is you're not alone and you're loved. Let me just read you this final note. A final note. Sorry, I'm not even showing the right pages. A final note. Thank you for joining me on this journey, allowing me to share some of my thoughts and feelings with you. As I've begun to recognize the role that mental health plays in my life, I am better able to recognize how I can help others. Some of these pieces may have pulled at your heartstrings as you read them. As we listen to one another, as we nurture trust and love, we're able to lift and support one another. It also provides an opportunity for individuals to learn important life lessons outside of a classroom. This certainly isn't a perfect book. Thank heavens it isn't, because that was never my intention. This book came to life not because I wanted it to, but because I saw the need for it. People around me asked how I coped with my mental illnesses, how I found the courage to keep going, why I wasn't scared to try new things. I will always be terrified to try new things, you guys. But I'd rather try and then fail rather than think, what if? This book came to life because people believed in me, because they helped buoy me up during my darkest times. And people that I met after my dark times were very supportive and open as I shared my story of how I let those dark times shape me by learning about the relationship between fear and courage. I've got a new life motto. It's at the end of my piece, Constant. That quote. I've decided to write my story in colored pencils from now on, to let all of my emotions contribute to my story. They each deserve to be heard. End quote. With loads of hugs, prayers, and good vibes. Darcy Llewellyn. That's become my little signature catchphrase, which I absolutely love. So, there you have it. We all have hard times. Some of us struggle more than others. That's just a little glimpse into my story, how this book came to be. If you guys have any questions about this book, about my experiences with mental illnesses and mental health in general, please let me know. I would love to answer your questions, and even more, I would love to be a support to you all, both in the good times and in the bad. Alright, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.